The man who split the sea and defied Pharaoh. Oh man, let me tell you something. When you start digging into the story of Prophet Musa, or Moses, as people in the West call him, it's like stepping into one of the most powerful narratives in human history. And I'm not just saying that because it's in religious texts. I'm saying it because the dude's life hits on every level: survival, oppression, revolution, faith, miracles, leadership, and even human flaws. It's a story that's thousands of years old, but when you break it down, it feels like it's happening today. So here's the scene. We're in ancient Egypt, one of the greatest civilizations ever. You've got Pharaoh, the absolute monarch. This guy doesn't just see himself as a king, he thinks he's literally a god. That's his whole image. Worship me, obey me, I control life and death. And the Israelites, Musa's people, are enslaved under this empire. Brutal conditions, hard labor, treated like they're worth nothing. Now, Pharaoh hears this prophecy that a child will be born among the Israelites who will rise up and bring down his kingdom. And what does he do? He orders that every newborn Israelite boy be killed. Just imagine that level of paranoia and cruelty. It's genocide, straight up. And this is where Musa enters the story. His mom gives birth to him right in the middle of this nightmare. She's terrified, but at the same time, she's got this divine inspiration. The Quran says, God revealed to her what to do. Place her baby in a basket, set him afloat on the Nile, and trust that God will protect him. Now think about that. Imagine being a mother, holding your newborn, knowing soldiers are hunting babies, and your only choice is to let the river take him. That's not just courage, that's faith on a whole different level. So Musa is floating down the Nile, totally vulnerable, and who finds him? None other than Pharaoh's own family. His wife Asaya sees this baby and instantly feels compassion. She convinces Pharaoh not to kill him, but to adopt him. And boom, now you've got the child who's destined to challenge Pharaoh, growing up in Pharaoh's palace, eating his food, wearing his clothes, learning his culture. The irony is crazy, but Musa never forgets who he really is. He grows up, and one day he sees an Egyptian beating the crap out of one of his people. Musa steps in, probably just trying to defend the guy, but he hits the Egyptian, and it kills him. Just like that, Musa goes from prince to fugitive. Pharaoh puts a bounty on his head, and Musa has to flee Egypt. He escapes into the desert, into the land of Midian. And here's where his life takes this humbling turn. The dude who was raised in luxury is now living like a nomad. He helps some women at a well, ends up working for their father, becomes a shepherd, and eventually gets married. That part of the story always gets me, because it shows how life can flip. One moment you're in a palace, the next you're out in the wilderness, tending sheep. But that's where he learns patience, humility, endurance. It's like his training ground. And then comes one of the most iconic moments in religious history, the burning bush. Musa is out with his flock, and he sees this fire on a mountain. He goes to check it out, and instead of just seeing flames, he hears the voice of God. Imagine that. The creator of the universe is speaking directly to him. God tells him, take off your shoes, you're in a sacred place. I'm choosing you as my messenger. And your mission? Go back to Egypt. Confront Pharaoh. Demand that he free the Israelites. Now hold on a second. Let's really sit with that. This is the same Musa who ran for his life years ago. The same Pharaoh who has the power to kill him instantly. And God is saying, yeah, go right back there, look him in the eye, tell him he's not God. Tell him to release your people. That's not a small ask. That's like being told to walk into the lion's den and poke the lion in the face. And what's wild is Musa's reaction. He's human, he's nervous, he even admits he doesn't feel like a good speaker. He asks God to make his brother Harun, Aaron, his helper. And God agrees. That part is so relatable, because it shows Musa wasn't some fearless robot. He had doubts, he had insecurities, but he still went. That's what courage really is, doing the hard thing even when you're scared. So Musa and Harun roll back into Egypt, and here's where the story goes full-on epic. They walk into Pharaoh's court, this place of gold, guards, power, intimidation, and they stand there like, listen, we've got a message from the Lord of all creation. Free the Israelites. Stop your tyranny. You're not God. Imagine the silence in that room. Everyone's like, did they just say that to Pharaoh? And Pharaoh, of course, laughs. He calls Musa a liar, a magician, a nobody. But God backs Musa up with miracles. The staff in his hand turns into a snake. His hand glows with light when he pulls it from his cloak. Later there are plagues. The Nile turns to blood. Locusts swarm. Frogs cover the land. Darkness falls. It's like nature itself is rebelling against Pharaoh. But Pharaoh, man, his ego is bulletproof. Every time a plague hits, he's like, fine, I'll let them go. But as soon as it passes, he changes his mind. That cycle repeats over and over. It's the perfect picture of arrogance. No matter how much proof you put in front of some people, they just won't let go of their pride. Finally, after years of this back and forth, God commands Musa to lead the Israelites out. They sneak away at night, and Pharaoh loses it. He gathers his army and chases them. And now we're at one of the most legendary scenes ever, the parting of the sea. The Israelites are trapped. In front of them is the sea. Behind them is Pharaoh's army. People are panicking, thinking it's over. But Musa stands tall. He says, no, my Lord is with me. He'll guide me. He raises his staff, strikes the water, and suddenly, the sea walls of water rise up on both sides, and there's a clear path through. The Israelites walk across, and just when Pharaoh's army follows, the sea crashes back, swallowing them whole. That's not just a victory. That's a state. The tyrant who thought he was divine gets drowned like any other man. Power, wealth, armies, none of it saves him from reality. So here's the thing, man. Most people think the story of Musa ends with that big cinematic scene of the sea splitting and Pharaoh drowning, but that's actually just the climax of one chapter. What happens after is honestly even more fascinating, because now Musa has to do something way harder than defeating Pharaoh. He's got to lead a community. And this is where you see how raw and real the story gets. Because think about it, the Israelites had been slaves for generations. Their mindset, their identity, their entire worldview was shaped by oppression. Suddenly, they're free. And being free is exciting, but it's also scary. Freedom isn't just about escaping chains, it's about learning responsibility, discipline, and trust. So Musa leads them into the desert, and almost immediately the people start complaining. They're hungry, they're thirsty, they're scared. They're like, why did you bring us out here? At least in Egypt, we had food. And you just want to grab them and say, dude, you were literally crying out to God to save you. You were being whipped, humiliated, treated like dirt, and now you're romanticizing it. But that's human nature. Sometimes people would rather stay in their comfort zone, even if it's miserable, than embrace the unknown. But here's where God steps in with miracles again. Food literally comes down from the sky, manna and quails. Water gushes out of a rock when Musa strikes it with his staff. They're being taken care of in the most direct, supernatural way possible. And still some of them complain. That's one of the wildest lessons in the story. Miracles alone don't make people believe. If your heart isn't ready, you'll find a reason to doubt no matter what you see. Then comes Mount Sinai, one of the most pivotal moments in human history. Musa is called up to the mountain to receive God's commandments, the laws that are going to shape this nation. Imagine the scene: thunder, lightning, smoke surrounding the mountain. Musa walks up into that, disappears for 40 days in direct communion with the Creator. But down below, the people lose patience. They're like, he's gone too long. Maybe he's dead. Let's make our own God. And they build the golden calf. After everything, the plagues, the sea splitting, food from the sky, they melt their gold and start worshiping a statue. Man, that blows my mind. It's like humanity has this built-in forgetfulness when it comes to faith. We experience blessings, we witness incredible things, but the moment there's a delay or hardship, we go right back to old habits. So Musa comes down the mountain, holding the tablets of the commandments, and he sees his people literally dancing around this golden calf. He loses it. He throws down the tablets in anger. Imagine his frustration. He risked his life to free these people. He watched God tear open the sea for them, and they're already turning their backs on the truth. And honestly, that's one of the most relatable things about Musa. He's not just a prophet who's calm and perfect all the time. He gets angry, he feels betrayed, he struggles with his people, he's human. And that's what makes his story so powerful, because leadership is messy. It's not just about giving order. It's about dealing with stubbornness, doubt, rebellion, and still trying to guide people in the right direction. Another huge moment comes when Musa asks God something extraordinary. He says, "My Lord, show yourself to me, that I may look at you." And God responds, "You will not see me, but look at the mountain. If it remains in place, you'll see me." Then God manifests his glory to the mountain, and it crumbles into dust. Musa collapses unconscious. When he wakes up, he realizes the sheer magnitude of what he asked. That's deep, man. It shows this yearning he had, this hunger to connect with God directly, and at the same time it shows that the divine reality is beyond human perception. Then there's the story of the Promised Land. God commands Musa to lead the Israelites there. But when they get close, the people chicken out. They're like, "There are giants in that land. We can't fight them." Musa and a few others are like, "No, if God commands it, we can do it." But the majority refuse. So God decrees that they'll wander in the desert for 40 years until that fearful generation passes away. 40 years, man, that's an entire lifetime of waiting, circling, learning. It's like a reset button for the whole community. And Musa, he spends those 40 years leading them, teaching them, trying to shape them into a nation ready for responsibility. But here's the bittersweet part. Musa himself doesn't get to enter the Promised Land. He dedicates his entire life to this mission, but at the end he passes away just before reaching it. That's heavy. It shows that sometimes your role in life isn't to see the end of the journey, but to guide others toward it. What's crazy is how much this story echoes across history. Jews, Christians, and Muslims all revere Musa. He's mentioned in the Quran more than any other prophet, and when you look at why, it makes sense. His life is like a mirror for humanity. Our struggles with oppression, our battles with arrogance, our tendency to forget, our need for guidance. But here's the kicker. Musa's story isn't just about ancient history, it's about right now. How many people today are living under modern-day pharaohs, dictators, corrupt systems, oppressive powers? How many of us struggle with doubt, even after seeing blessings in our own lives? How often do we build our own golden calves, not statues but addictions, money, fame, ego, things we put above God? That's why his story hits so hard. It's not just about miracles and epic showdowns, it's about the human condition. It's about courage in the face of tyranny, patience when people let you down, and faith when the path looks impossible. And if there's one image that sticks with me the most, it's Musa standing at the sea with his people panicking around him, and him saying with absolute certainty, "My Lord is with me, and he will guide me." That's the essence of faith right there. Not blind optimism, not wishful thinking, but a rock-solid trust that no matter how bad it looks, the Creator's got your back. That's Prophet Musa, a man who defied a tyrant, split the sea, carried a nation, and wrestled with the flaws of humanity, all while holding on to his connection with God. And honestly, man, it's one of the greatest stories ever told.